Grand Master's suspension of Freemasonry ending and government restrictions on meetings being eased, many lodges and chapters are looking forward to a resumption of something like normal in September. Social distancing remains one of the cornerstones of reducing the chances of spreading COVID-19, and as a result, adjustments to the ritual have had to be made and to be practiced for the duration of the pandemic. I am pleased to say that Jim Mitchell, our Provincial DC, has agreed to talk about ritual and Freemasonry in the aftermath of coronavirus, immediately after attending what is surely the first meeting after suspension of meetings ending in the province. Jim, before discussing the ritual, I would like to ask you about something of yourself.
Okay.
Where were you born and raised?
David, I was born in Isworth at West Middlesex Hospital. Moved to St Margaret's, literally just a mile from here, where I stayed with my father and my stepmother until I was 19, and grew up around in Twickenham. So I'm a real Middlesex Twickenham boy from birth. Coincidentally, actually, with West Mid, it was quite interesting and not really nice for me when the Provincial Grand Master asked me to drop off the Samsung tablets that were organised by the MCF and UGLE. We dropped off 7 to Hillingdon Hospital and 8 to West Mid. So going back to do something really nice for them and giving them these tablets on behalf of the province was a really emotional moment for me. So something I really, really enjoyed. It was lovely, yeah.
What do you do for a living?
Apart from Freemasonry, I run a small but perfectly formed office furniture company based in Tame in Oxfordshire, and we sell chairs and desks to anybody that wants them. I run it with my business partner. I've been doing that for 4 years now, but I've been in the office furniture industry for well over 30 years.
Why did you become a Freemason?
To be fair, Freemasonry has been something that always fascinated me. I think by the mystique of what it was all about, and the secrets and the history that was attached to it. So yeah, always something that fascinated me. And one day I was in the pub with a friend of mine, and he said to me, "You ever thought about joining?" And I went, "Yeah, hasn't everybody?" And he introduced me to the guys from the lodge. I had my interview, we had a couple of beers and a chat, and on March the 2nd, 1995, I was initiated into Heston St Leonard Lodge in this very room.
Who's been your biggest influence in Freemasonry?
Yeah, that's a really tough question for me to answer. There have been some key people that have made a difference to my attitude towards Freemasonry, without doubt. Ron Woodward, the guy who initiated me, made a massive impression on me. Stuart Ravenscroft, when I first went to a Middlesex Provincial meeting, I was sitting on the sidelines and saw Stuart in action and just went, "This guy's brilliant. He's wow."
Stuart Ravenscroft, was he the Provincial GDC?
He was at the time, yeah. And his professionalism and everything just blew me away. But David, to be honest with you, what really inspires me, rather than influences me, is the normal people in our province. It's the people that go out and do masonry on a day-to-day level. It's the Peter Lawrences of this world. It's the Jim Dyetts of this world. It's the Harrow Centre, the guys up there, they're doing all these foods for the Salvation Army. The Uxbridge Centre doing all the foods, the meals during this COVID period. It's the normal people that try really hard to get their masonry right, to do the ritual really, really well. They're the guys that inspire me, yeah.
What does Masonry give you and how?
Masonry gives me, believe it or not, when I first joined Masonry, I lacked an awful amount of confidence. I think that Masonry has given me a huge opportunity to get this confidence going to the level where I can actually run the AGMs, I can run the masters meetings and everything. So it's given me a massive amount of confidence, but it's also given me a lot of friends that I'm going to keep for the rest of my life. Some really close friends that mean a lot to me. I think, does that answer your question?
It does, and presumably that is the reason that you enjoy Freemasonry. Or are there other reasons as well?
I enjoy it because of the camaraderie, I really do. I enjoy it because of the feeling of belonging. I love the fact that we all belong to this brilliant organisation that secretly and publicly does so much for everybody that it possibly can. I'm really lucky to be a member of the trustee of the MPRF, the Middlesex Province Relief Fund. And to see the good that charity, as well as the Middlesex Masonic charity, do for members of not just the province, but people in the wider society in Middlesex is just fantastic. So it's that sense of belonging, yeah, very much.
What do you enjoy most about being the Provincial Grand Director of Ceremony of Middlesex?
What do I enjoy the most? Not what you might think. You might think that I'm actually quite keen on telling people what to do, ordering people around. Far from it, and don't laugh. It's not that. That's not in my makeup, if I'm honest with you. I do it because that's the job. Yeah. Sometimes you have to be slightly firm with people to get the job done, and it's a hard job. But what do I enjoy the most? I enjoy doing the meetings. I really do. I enjoy the AGMs. I enjoy the Masters units. But in March, I think we're installing you 23420 as the Worshipful Master in 2021.
Perhaps.
Well, if you get voted in. What will happen for me there is we'll come in. I'll announce the 18, 19 names, whatever they are, with ranks and everything else. And we'll go through the meeting, and the Provincial Grand Master will do a brilliant job for you, and you know that. He's very good at what he does. And you'll have a great time, and your personal guests are going to come up to you afterwards, and they're going to go, David, what a brilliant meeting, great installation and everything else, and tell you how good you were. And I guarantee you that at one point after the meeting, someone, a new master within the province, will come up and just say to me, wow, how impressive that was, how impressed they were, how inspired, again.
Is that the most rewarding part of your job as well, the appreciation?
I think knowing that you made a difference, knowing that you've actually pushed and inspired someone to want to emulate something they've seen, not necessarily emulate what I do, but to emulate something they've seen, is really brilliant to see and to have that. So that's to be fair, that's something I really enjoy. I'm going to expand on it slightly though, because what I also enjoy is working with the team that I have, and the team that I have is not just the pro and the deputies, both in Craft and Royal Arch. It's also the active officers of the year. It's the coordinators of the active officers, both Clive Smith and Paul Darwin Mills. It's the Provincial Grand Stewards of the year. It's Tom James, the Provincial Grand Tyler, someone who I genuinely rely on so much. And it's working with this great team of people that I find massively rewarding as well, because without them, I can't do my job.
Yeah. Moving on to the current situation and the pandemic.
Yeah.
Is there any latitude to the recommended changes? And if so, what would you recommend and how we can change those to suit our personal lodge's needs?
Okay. first and foremost, the short answer is we can't do anything. We can't change them. Okay, and the reason for that is that the adaptations that have been laid down by United Grand Lodge of England and by Supreme Grand Chapter is the welfare of our members. and whilst we might not necessarily like the adaptations, we've got to stick by them, and we need to adhere to them. And if we do that, and we do it well, then the quicker we can hope to come out of these restrictions. UGLE and Supreme Grand Chapter will release the restrictions, and then we can start to move forward and get back to what we hope is some form of normality.
Is it possible to confer all 3 degrees on candidates? Not at the same time, but the 3 degrees over the course of the pandemic?
Sadly not. Where we are currently, the adaptations have been written down. We cannot do a 3rd degree, and we cannot do an exaltation in the Royal Arch. We can do a initiation, and we can do a 2nd degree, but we must stick by the adaptations. There is no latitude in changing them. There is no ability to tweak them a little bit. And I know some of Freemasons might want to think that can happen. I'm telling you now, it can't. We've got to stick by it. So I would say that no, we can't do the 3 degrees. That's been laid down by UGLE, and we must stick to the adaptations.
Many members, having experienced a 4-month break from meetings and ritual, do you foresee a lessening of enthusiasm for Freemasonry in general and ritual in particular?
No. I'm going to say no. I actually think people are missing it. I know I am. And you've been a Freemason for 42 years, and people could argue quite strongly that you and I are slightly different because we're so involved in what we do. It's a hobby that we love immensely. But no, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say people are going to want to come home, because that's what it is. It's another home for us. It's an opportunity to get together. It's an opportunity to be with our friends, our companions, and get together. So I don't think that Freemasonry will suffer in that sense. I don't think the ritual will suffer either. Middlesex is blessed with a huge amount of really, really good ritualists, and we're pretty good at ceremony as well, if I say so myself. So I actually think people are going to be driven much more to do it. They've had a 4-month break has really enabled people to quite possibly learn more, to read their books, to learn the tracing boards and those odd little things, and they're going to want to deliver that, and they're going to want to deliver it when they reunite with the brethren of their lodge, their companions of their chapter. They're going to want to do more of that. So no, I think the ritual will actually be all right, and I don't think Freemasonry will suffer at all.
Is it possible to hold lodges of instruction with Zoom or other audio-visual links?
Okay, so United Grand Lodge of England and Supreme Grand Chapter issued some guidance on this, and they say that you can open a lodge, take a general meeting for example, you can open a lodge or a chapter, you can confirm the minutes, you can do any ceremonial, and then you can call off. And once you've called off, you can open up a virtual meeting, okay, where you can involve and engage those members of the province or your lodge that haven't been able to make it or don't want to make the journey just yet because they're quite rightly, nervous about attending a lodge meeting. So You can do that, but then when you had that discussion or a non-Masonic lecture, you can close the virtual meeting, call the lodge back on, and do the rest of the business, and then close the lodge formally. LFIs and CFIs, I'm going to say that we're recommending that you don't. Okay, and that's purely for the welfare of the members of the province. We're not doing it for any other reason. But we recognise that there's going to be times when lodges and chapters are going to want to meet and have an LFI, an officers' night or something like that. And in those instances, we're saying contact your centre. The centres have got a list now of how many people each room can take with current distancing guidelines. So they'll be able to put you into a room. You may not be able to get the whole of your lodge or chapter into that room, so you're going to have to be slightly flexible with your approach. But this is a fluid situation, David. It's a situation where things are going to constantly move, and by the time, even possibly when this interview comes out, things might have changed. Things may well have changed by September or by the end of September. So we're issuing guidance as much as we can to help people, to help the secretaries, scribes, DCs, general, the members of the province understand what's going on. So I'm going to say no, that's the recommendation. But if you need to hold one, that's fine still, but you need to contact the centre and then make sure that you hold that meeting with social distancing. GP meetings, absolutely recommend you do it all by Zoom.
Mm. Jim, thank you very much for spending the time today in explaining a little bit more about the way ahead during the pandemic. I'm sure that your answers are of great use to lodges, memberships generally, and to DCs in particular. And thank you also for sharing with us a little bit of your private life.
David, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, and genuinely, it's nice to see you in the flesh. And I hope that all the members of the province get back to some form of normality very, very quickly. It'd be nice to see you.